Hey folks, how you doing? First of all, thank you so much for listening to my podcast. My name is Jose, and this is the Knowledge Change. So, again, I'm just here to give you a little bit more facts about why is it that I want to create this podcast, and maybe, if I were to get some audience behind it, what is it that I want to inform the audience and the general public about. That being said, let's get right into the facts. So, today, we're living through a weird time in history, I guess. We seem that there's not a lot of things going on around the world that are really bad, like a war, for example, like back in the day. But enough of that. What I'm trying to say is today is a time that we are being massively misinformed about situations out there in the real world, and that it seems that the general public becomes more and more ignorant about things that matter. And with that idea, I decided to create this podcast. Now, there's a few things that matter according to my perspective of things. You might think differently, and that's all right. We all here have the right to have different opinions when it comes to general things that we see every day. But I feel that we should do a better job at these type of things, because it's gonna affect us in the future if we keep going and creating this massive misinformation of things, as it is the news, social media, how things nowadays seem that they're always pointing fingers towards the other side. If like Republicans, Democrats, if it's Amazon or Apple, or if it's Tesla. And we keep going and going. We can probably go all day talking about this type of issues that we're seeing nowadays. Coffee, man. Good for the body, good for the mind. So that being said, so this is the thing. In simple terms, I'm tired of, people being misinformed. And I figure out that it's not because they don't have the time to do the research. It's just because they don't actually question what they're seeing. And that's something that I want to awake everybody to question the things that you see in social media and in the media in general. Because a lot of the time, these things are only like 1/4 of the truth. And there's a lot of things that they do to point fingers at other people and to say, oh yeah, it's the law enforcement. They suck. They're not trained. We need to reform them. We need to defund the police. And I mean, that's nonsense, first of all. But at the same time, I'm not saying that we don't have a problem, but that's not a solution. If you think that's a solution, then you're wrong, because we need law enforcement. Maybe we should retrain them. Well, maybe, but let's analyze the whole thing. Let's analyze the facts, the actual facts, on how's the crime around that area, what's going on, why is it that who got shot and for what reasons, before we start making assumptions and before we start pointing fingers at certain individuals just because we saw half of a video of for example, of their camera. And nowadays it seems that whatever it's in video, it's the truth, and it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah, they say a picture it's more than 1,000 words, and so a video it's like 1,000,000 pictures, I guess. So it's also like 1,000,000 words, but it's not always the solution, or it's not always speaking the truth about a situation that we're facing. So with that idea is it that I decided to create this podcast, just to inform the general public of what's going on and things that they should know about, and that it matters, not just because it's trending, but because it's gonna affect you in the future if you don't know about these things. And not just controversial issues that we're facing, but also issues that you should know, or things that you should know. Like it's the case of like retirement, or health insurance, or education, or I mean, I can keep going. The economic inflation that we're living, the economic system that we currently run, the capitalism, communism, socialism, how these things are structured, and how is the right approach to maybe help alleviate the problem that we have with this big gap in the distribution of money here in the US, where you have people making, I don't know, 30, you have people making billions or millions of dollars a year, and you got some individuals making, I don't know, $10,000 a year. And that's the things that I want to focus in this podcast. That's the things that I want to talk about. And I feel that the general public should be aware of this, but should be aware in an educated way. Because when somebody out there says, oh, I think like socialism is the answer for our problems, and somebody else says, oh, no, I think socialism is, but when none of those people have actually read a book about it or have studied Marx, for example, in the case of communism, or have looked at history in the past and analyze the things that people did with communism and socialism back in the past and how it worked out, then how is it that you're giving or you're making that assumption that you have the right answer when you don't even know the actual facts that happened before, or how is it that you got there in the first place? And that's the thing that I want to address in this podcast. Now, I know I just mentioned a lot of controversial issues, so let me just explain a little bit more. You see, when it comes to law enforcement, I'm not saying that they're right, but we have to analyze, and it seems that we always fail to analyze the type of environment that these certain cops are dealing with. Because it's hard for you to understand that if you've never lived in a ghetto neighborhood. It's hard for you to know why is it that cops fear for their lives. But if you were to live in this neighborhood, sometimes it will help understand the problem. See, a lot of people say, yeah, there's more policemen in, I don't know, in the ghetto neighborhoods, and I think that's wrong. That's why they make more arrests. And usually in these neighborhoods, it's more like African American people or people of color that lived in. Well, of course, if you think about it, yeah, that makes sense. Because why are you going to send a bunch of cops to a rich neighborhood if there's no criminal activity going on? You see, at the end of the day, they're trying to take away the drugs from the street, or they're trying to alleviate the crimes that go out there in the street. And that's their job, and it's not their fault that they are there in that neighborhood because there's a lot of criminals that live in that neighborhood. It's not. And it seems that we don't understand these things and we just point fingers at them. And we say, oh, they're wrong and this and that. And it's not that I'm saying that I'm right, but I think that we should take the time to actually analyze these things in more detail. And instead of being out there, going through a bunch of short ass videos about, things that don't even fucking matter, we should take the time to analyze them and to come to a general solution and to a general conclusion based on the actual facts and knowledge. But it's hard to do this because sometimes we don't have that knowledge, and that's why I decided to create this in the first place. Now, I'm going to make a whole episode on this, but I just want to give you a quick introduction to see if you liked the type of content that I'm going to be generating. Now, moving on from that, when it comes to the political parties, it is not surprising that we don't like the political parties and you think the Democrat sucks, you think the Republicans suck. But let me tell you something, and I mean, this might be a shock, but they're all the same. They are all the same. These people are out there just making money, making millions, and they don't really care about the future of America. It's no surprise that the millionaires or the 1% of the country, the richest persons, they don't pay a lot of taxes. It's no surprise because the system is basically developed by money, by big companies giving donations to political campaigns of individuals to keep running the country the way they're running it, and to keep this company in business by making laws that allow these companies to be in business. And it seems that a lot of people nowadays think that, oh, it's the 1%, but that's the way the system works, or that's the law. So they're not doing nothing wrong. Well, of course they're doing something wrong. How can you say that? They're doing something wrong because the laws that they're being made, it's being made by them. So it's like, how are you gonna stop yourself from making more money? It's impossible. But some people don't realize that, and they think that the other side is wrong, and it's no surprise because media and social media, they keep pointing fingers and they keep creating chaos left and right, and it's gonna be hard for you to understand who's right and who's wrong. We're gonna have a full episode when it comes to the political system and for you to understand how laws are made and how is it that we have old ass individuals running this country that it's mostly made of people in their 30s or 20s, and how is it that these people are always there? Because you see the president only has like 2 terms, so it's like 8 years max, but not senators and not House representatives. These people are out there for the longest, and it seems that we're never getting rid of them, and they are all millionaires. So why is it that they're millionaires in the first place? Why is it that we allow millionaires, well, not millionaires back then, but why is it that we allow people to get rich behind a seat in the Congress or the Senate or the House? I feel that we need to make time just to analyze this thing first before we can start talking about, why is it that the 1% don't get taxed and how can we change this? It's unfortunate that we don't know these things, but it is not forever. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's a problem that we can solve. And that's why I'm here for, to inform you guys how is it that these things are going and how is it that we got here to the first place. I always wonder, man. I think I should change the name to How We Got Here. I don't know. Because I want to explain a lot of that. But yeah. And also when it comes to the income distribution, that's another thing that I mentioned. And how is it that we might have to change our political system or our economic system to a better system, like is maybe, I'm not saying that it's better, but maybe to another system like communism or socialism. We're currently living in the capitalism world. So just real quick, capitalism actually means it's a economic system where things are private, and so the government doesn't run anything. Private corporations do, and that way the government and the private corporations are not tied, and we can govern the laws that we make, and the private sector has to obey these laws. Unfortunately, it's not the actual way it works, but right now, so we definitely have some gaps in it, but I just wanted to give you the actual definition. So it's again, it's an economic system that is run by private corporations. And I just want to give you the definition because a lot of people use these terms like communism, socialism, capitalism in a super simple way, and they don't even know the actual definitions of it. I've had different arguments and debates with individuals when we're talking, and they say, yeah, but communism or capitalism does this, does that. And then I just stop and I tell them, like, okay, what is capitalism? Can you explain the definition of it? They don't even know the definition. So please, if you're going to use something in an actual debate, learn your things. Learn the definitions. They matter. They do matter. Man. Okay, now to close, another thing, and this is major for me as well, that I wanna speak about, is education in general. You see, nowadays it seems that we don't appreciate education anymore. That we think it's pointless to go to college, to have a college degree, because we seen that people be getting famous and millionaires just by, I don't know, creating a half-ass song or a social media platform like we see with Zuckerberg. And they say, well, I mean, why would you go to college? You're never going to be a millionaire. And that's true. I mean, that's true. First of all, it is true. But I think we are missing the fact that, yeah, you're not going to become a millionaire, but education matters. Because you see, it matters for you to be educated and for you to understand and have general knowledge on things in life. And that's something that I want to address, and I want to stop that from people saying that the education is not important. because unfortunately it is important. And we're back. Sorry for that. My daughter, oh man, I have a 3-year-old and she just came in here running. All right, folks, back again. Something that I want to also address is the education of individuals, and I just want to address this because I feel that nowadays people think that education is worthless, and they think that if you get a college degree, you're not gonna be a millionaire, and that is true, 100%. You're not. I mean, if you get an education, it's not gonna make you a millionaire, and it's not even gonna provide you with a kick-ass job for that saying. I mean, I do have a engineering degree, and it was hard for me to get to where I'm at right now. But nonetheless, it has shown me a lot of things and how science and math works. And I feel that that's something valuable, and a lot of people don't seem to appreciate that. And they praise these people that are high school or not high school, sorry, college dropouts, and see, look, they make millions. And although that is actually true, and they make millions without actually dropping with they actually completing their education, I feel that education should be valued more. And it's because, you see, like, it's important for you to know how to research things, and it's important for you to know how to write something, how to communicate with the people, but not just by speaking with them, but also writing and generating content, so you can help put your point out there, and make yourself aware of what's right and what's not. Because you see, when you actually know things about economics, you can spot people if they're saying something, oh yeah, we're gonna run the country like this and that. You're gonna be like, no, that's not true. And it's not true because it's not possible. I'll give you a quick example. Back in the day when Hillary was running against Trump, I remember seeing a debate. I usually don't pay attention to debates, but this time I had to, because it was for extra credit in an economics class that I was taking at the time. So I remember seeing this debate, and I remember seeing and hearing that Hillary said something that they were gonna promote green energy, and that they were gonna create, he said, like 500,000 solar panels to generate power in the country. And to back that up, well, not to back that up, but to fight that off, Trump said that he was going to increase the oil production in America, and that he was going to actually sell oil to the rest of the world. Now, me, like I said, I have an engineering degree, and it's in petroleum. So I have a petroleum engineer degree. And so when I saw that, I remember thinking, well, first of all, to do 500,000 solar panels, that's a lot of money. And at the same time, renewables like that, at the time, they were only, I think, around 1 or 5% of the energy consumption. In other words, they were only generating 5% of the energy that we needed to supply to the US. So that was completely BS. Because even if you do that, you're not gonna help alleviate the problem that we have with fossil fuels. And in the other hand, Trump saying that he was going to actually drill more and actually get more oil and sell it to the rest of the world was also impossible, because you see, the thing is that we only generate around, well, at the time it was like around 40% of our own demand, and it's not something even possible to do, because how are you going to generate more oil to sell to the rest of the world when you cannot even meet your own demand in your country? Both of those arguments that they were saying, those options, if you want to call that, they were completely fake. And it's funny that people don't even question that. Nowadays, people are more into like a mosquito, or like a fly on the top of like the vice president head than actually the actual facts that they're saying. And it's no wonder why they're doing this, because they're all a joke. You see, they're not trying to change the country in any way. They're just trying to get millionaire. They're just trying to get rich. and that's it. But I just wanted to put those points out there. You see, with the political system and things like that, it's impossible for you to question their opinions or their arguments if you don't know anything about them. And that's with that idea that I think we should all take a step back and just learn about things. And I think education, it's an important thing. And I think people should get educated, even if you're not going to become a millionaire, because it matters that you know, it matters that you learn things every day. And it can at least inform you better of what's going on. I know right now, currently, like, it kind of sucks because the whole economic system is skewed and people on the top keep making more and more and more, and people on the bottom keep making less and less. And once automation kicks in, or in other words, artificial intelligence kicks in, well, we are going to be in a bigger disadvantage. But let me just tell you that it's not always going to be like this. Remember that the only reason why we are governed is because we allowed them to govern us. Okay? Remember that. And it's not always going to be like that. It's going to change eventually. It has to. Because if not, there will be major chaos. And so it will change. And I just want to encourage everybody out there to seek and get an education. You don't have to go to college for that sake. Just try to learn. I feel like nowadays, in YouTube, for example, there is a lot of content that professionals are uploading with podcasts about neuroscience, about economics, about engineering. And if you really look hard at this type of things and research them, I feel you will find out a lot of channels that can actually educate yourself. So with that being said, I think I make some of my points clear. The first podcast that I'm going to be throwing out there is going to be something called the cancellation culture. And I feel like that's something that we should discuss. Look in more detail, state the facts, make an educated guess on what's right and what's not right, and come with a general solution to a problem that we have nowadays, which is the cancellation culture and how people seem to get canceled. And that's something that we need to address so we can all be in the same page, because at the end of the day, and that's something that I actually forgot, but at the end of the day, if I take the stand that it doesn't matter what I think, it's not going to change anything, well, for the people that is actually doing the harm, for them it's better. Just stay in your room or stay in your house, don't bother, right? And if you think, okay, I think this side is right and we should punish the other side, we should cancel the other side, and the other side thinks the same thing, well, then again, for the people that is actually making the harm, for them is no problem. You guys keep fighting all you want. So with that in mind, I want to talk about the cancellation culture. I think we're going to have a good discussion. So again, thank you so much for listening. My name is Jose, and until next time, folks.